In 1954, Godzilla came out and spawned a whole franchise bigger than life itself. In 1965, another Japanese studio saw that and said, "We want that." So they made a fire-breathing giant Godzilla ripoff turtle, which somehow actually worked. This is how the Gamera franchise began.
Get ready for lights, action, Gamera!
Godzilla had the kaiju industry in a chokehold for 11 years. No one could even touch him, not even King Kong. But then, in 1965, a rival was born. A kaiju that could rival Godzilla, not in any meaningful way whatsoever, but in the fact that it was another kaiju from Japan, not made by Toho. We are talking about the one and only Gamera, the Devil's Envy, the Invincible, the friend to all children, the guardian of the universe. And it all started in 1965, one of the last kaiju films ever to be made in black and white. While Godzilla was off fighting monkeys and moths, the Dai Motion Picture Company was busy with a new idea. Let's rip off Godzilla. And when you get the basic origins of Gamera, that's what it is, a rip-off of Godzilla. I mean, for f***ing sake. Dai president Manchi Najija claimed that he came up with the idea for Gamera when he was looking out a window of a plane and saw a cloud that looked like a turtle. You know what the supposed origin for Godzilla is? As Tomokai Tanaka was staring into the ocean, he started to think of what monstrous creatures could be living in there, and thought about the terror and destruction the atomic bombs had on Japan, and Godzilla was created. That's basically the same thing. But that's not the only supposed origin for this turtle. P Productions founder Tomo Saaju says that Dai stole one of their monster ideas they had for a half-hour kaiju TV series. The proposed series was rejected by all of Japan's major studios, Dai included. And one of his teleplays included the description, "The turtle monster flies by pulling its head into its shell and shooting flames." Despite this shady introduction, Gamera, the giant monster, originally called Camera, Cam, which is the Japanese word for turtle, but it sounded too much like the English word camera, so Gamera they went with. Big change. But eventually, they got this Godzilla ripoff started. The film starts with the good doctor and his assistant, the woman, and a photographer, which I'm calling the creep for a very obvious reason, traveling to an Eskimo settlement in the Arctic aboard a massive ship. They are here to investigate the folklore about a giant turtle that supposedly lives there. And right off the bat, well, I mean, obviously the creep, I can immediately tell he's a creep. I named him the creep for a reason. And I've got a very bad feeling about the creep. But regardless, they arrive at the settlement and the good doctor starts talking with the Eskimo chief. Then suddenly, a dogfight breaks out above them. Real Top Gun levels of action up there. It ends with the American fighter jets winning, causing the others to crash, and apparently they had nukes. The ensuing nuclear explosion awakened something terrifying. The Eskimo calls it the Devil's Envoy, and it ends up killing everyone on board the ship. As the group of three start to leave with the deaths of their crewmates weighing on their backs, the Eskimo chief gives them a stone carving which depicts a giant turtle among what appears to be waves. The doctor asked the chief if this was the legendary turtle that they were here looking for. The turtle that lived on the lost continent of Atlantis. The turtle named Gamera. And yes it is. And this movie so far has way more kaiju action than the original Gojira ever had. Getting Gamera right away lays the groundwork for so much more the movie could do. And the Atlantis stuff they mention in this film really builds up the Gamera franchise down the line. And speaking of Godzilla, much like the big G-Man himself, Gamera's suit was a nightmare to perform in. And the similarities partly come from the makers of the Gamera suits. The Yagai brothers, who were also the ones who made the first Godzilla suit apparently, made the Gamera suit. This suit was 6.5 feet tall and weighed a whopping 110 pounds. They had to hire weightlifters just to wear the thing, but one after another they would all quit. This left the special effects staff to pull straws to see who would have to wear the suit. One of the brothers ended up wearing the suit the most. Along with that, they needed a second, way more heavier suit for the fire breath scenes. The problem with all these effects is that unlike Toho, Dai had no in-house special effects department, which led to them having to figure it out all by themselves. Like the already mentioned fire breath, which was created with pressurized propane, they had to figure out every single effect in this entire movie. And rumor has it that one of the small mechanical models during the fire-eating scene exploded while they were filming. Now, with everything said so far, Gamera seems like a huge ripoff of Godzilla, right? Tell me in the comments if you think he's a f***ing liar and cheater, or if he's a worthy rival of the King of the Monsters himself.
Here he comes, the hot new star who's taking Tinseltown by storm. And no one's going to get in the way of this ambitious amphibian as he delivers his most electrifying performance ever.
After that, the three headed to New York City to tell the world about what happened to them. Before revealing who Gamera is to the entire world, the three had a brief but incredibly dark talk about what they just went through. Essentially, two of them are having an existential crisis about all of their shipmates just dying like that. And that they actually drew straws to see who would get to leave the ship, basically gambling their lives away, in a sense. Then, in the middle of this dark conversation, the creep starts to hit on the woman. Because of course he does. But long story short, the good doctor says Gamera is most likely lying dead on the ocean floor from all the nuclear radiation from the nuclear bomb. And this is when the story splits in two for a little bit. We start to follow this boy and his pet turtle and his father, who says he needs to release the turtle back into the wild because of school. That's dumb. Don't just release animals into the wild like that. Not only have they lived their entire lives in captivity and don't know how to survive, you could just be introducing something into an environment they were never meant to be in. That's just a dumb thing to do. Don't do that. Goldfish are a big enough problem around America itself. But as he's taking the turtle to be released into the wild, Gamera appears, and everyone panics. And the kid almost dies. But he is ultimately saved by Gamera revealing that Gamera is actually not a destroyer, but a protector. Then, this guy who's obviously drunk sees a flying saucer. A lot of people are actually seeing flying saucers. With the whole world done with the Gamera thing, since he's dead, it starts to focus on these flying saucers. But the news gets to the JSDF, Japanese Self-Defense Force. And they, along with the trio of the good doctor, the woman, and the creep, start to form a plan to kill Gamera. They figure out that Gamera must eat inorganic materials like coal, petroleum, fire, and nuclear material to have been able to survive that nuke like he did. So they decide that they will allow him to eat the nuclear radiation at a plant. And yeah, they just basically copy Godzilla again by trying to electrocute Godzilla with the wires around the plant. They really couldn't think of anything better to put in the script, really. Well anyways, that doesn't actually work at all. Gamera tears through them like butter, so they decide that maybe bullets will work against this turtle that tanked a nuke. No, it didn't work at all. So with Gamera rampaging through Japan, what do? They decide, maybe a nuke will work this time. Second time's the charm, right? I know movie characters can be stupid, but this is on a completely different level. Luckily, the good doctor steps in and tells them that he has another plan. Essentially, he wants to freeze Gamera with freezing bombs, and then use dynamite to make him fall on his back. Because as everyone knows, turtles can't get up when they fall on their backs. So they do that, and you know those UFOs from earlier? Well, that wasn't aliens, no. That was actually Gamera, because he can f***ing fly like a flying saucer. Crazy, right? The doctor realizes that the turtle in the ocean on the stone that he was given was actually not a turtle in the ocean, but actually Gamera flying in the sky. This is when they decide to do Plan Z. After a bunch of crazy shit along with child stowaways, Gamera is captured in a rocket and sent to Mars. Yep, he was sent to Mars. That's how the movie ends. He goes to Mars. The end. If you're still watching, you're probably a clinically insane person like me whose whole life is about kaijus. Consider subscribing, because apparently a lot of you are not subscribed.
Gamera, The terrifying turtle that set Tokyo on fire explodes on the home video marketplace, and the critics love him.
It looks like it's a kind of a sea creature or monster.
Gamera, the towering inferno who'll change your feelings about pet turtles forever.
There is only one known scene cut from this movie. That scene shows the main kid getting bullied, and one of these bullies just happened to be played by a famous enough actor that I would mention them in the script, who would actually go to become a prominent voice actor. His roles including Seiya in Saint Seiya, Yamcha in various Dragon Ball things, Tuxedo Mask in Sailor Moon, and Amuro Ray in Mobile Suit Gundam. That was literally the only notable person in this movie. But despite the nobody cast crazy plot that goes from super dark to super goofy, and almost Looney Tunes-like ending, the movie did actually have some thought and experience put into it. The director of this movie took from his own childhood to create the character of Gamera. While World War II was happening, he was a kid. All the adults and teachers he knew would constantly tell him the importance of nationalism and Imperial Japan's ambitions, only to throw that all away the second Japan was defeated. One of the stories he liked telling when he was around was how a teacher of his switched from being an outspoken nationalist of Japan to an advocating communist. He had also been a child actor, and with his time during this profession, he grew a huge disapproval of actors in general. Probably from how most child actors are treated in Hollywood to this very day, or Japan's equal to Hollywood. These feelings were carried into the making of Gamera, which he conveyed as the only entity that children could actually have faith in the entire world. This is what Gamera was meant to be from the very beginning, and somehow actually stayed consistently the same throughout his 60 years of existence. The director also revealed that Gamera was only in black and white because the studio viewed it as a B film. What the studio viewed as an A film would get the color treatment at the time, but that unfortunately wasn't Gamera. Against all these odds and expectations, Gamera was a commercial success for Dai. The director was extremely surprised by this. He said the people who made Godzilla had drawn their influences from what happened in World War II with the nuclear bombs dropping on Japan, while the nuclear bombs in Gamera only served to explain Gamera's experience. It was in no way whatsoever a symbolic showcase of mankind's malevolence as it had been in the Godzilla movie. He also believed it was inappropriate to show any casualties in the film. That was what actually led to Gamera's success, in his opinion. With Gamera being a success as it was, a sequel would soon follow. But besides that, the only notable thing this film actually did was have an English version appear in the game Kaiju Wars, along with the APE, Ape, Attack of the Monsters, Destroy All Planets, not Destroy All Monsters, Palogosauri, I have no clue how to say that, is that just Tarantula? Is that how you spell tarantula? Am I wrong? Oh, but I know Yongari. But that is the end of the story of the original Gamera film. This film could have easily been forgotten to history, but it had something others didn't. Maybe that will shine through more in its sequel versus Baragon. Not that Baragon. Or maybe it just gets worse from here on out. Either way, join me next time as we explore whatever the a Baragon is.